Hi, so long time no see, it's Jack again, and I took a break because I went stealth for high school, and I want to talk about something that happened over this summer that I just decided that I should probably share to let people know. Um, so in early July, um, one thing led to another, and I had a suicide attempt, and I was arrested. And I was taken to the local psychiatric hospital. Um, they usually take depressed people, violent people, people who have attempted suicide to these hospitals, so that's where I ended up. And I came in at about 10 o'clock at night, and um, so one of the first things they asked me was, well, obviously, what's your name? And being that I'm just 16, my name on my birth certificate or ID has not been changed. So when I told them it was Jack, it became apparent that there was some sort of, discrepancy between those two. So um, they they didn't like the transgender thing. Being that the hospital was in Texas, no one really likes that stuff here. So I'm basically going to describe the frankly really bad conditions and what it's like to be a transgender person in the mental health field. So, what I would like to warn everyone about before I discuss it is that I'm about to discuss something that relates, well, it is sexual assault. So I'll put like down in the bottom when you can skip to if you would not like to hear about that. So one of the nurses was slightly curious about this condition, and I didn't read over the rules. I was kind of panicking, and I was taken into a dark room by myself, and I was told to take off all my clothes. I said no, and I was told that if I did not comply, I would be in trouble, and that it was the rules of the hospital, and that every patient had to remove their clothes upon coming in to check for, like, knives or anything that could be used to harm yourself. Like, they said it was a safety procedure. No, it wasn't. So basically, I thought maybe I just have to take it off just to my underwear so they can see, are you carrying any knives or weapons? And I had to remove everything so that she could see my genitals. A lot of the questions that I've heard transgender people being asked is basically what's going on downstairs. And basically this nurse took it upon herself to answer that question and abuse her power as a medical assistant. And when I asked all of the other patients, they reported to me that I was actually the only one who was forced to take off their clothes. One big coincidence that happened at this hospital was that later in the night, another trans guy actually was assigned to be my roommate, which is kind of odd because I've never met another transgender person in my life. So during our stay at this hospital, we endured a lot of harassment from the nurses. For example, in mental hospitals, you have therapy and you have group activities to keep yourself occupied so that, during rest periods, you can't spiral into depression or anything dangerous like that. So during these activities, we would be assigned one tech after another, and you would have to introduce yourselves to the techs. And they would look at my name tag and they would ask me my name, and I would say Jack, and that's not what my name tag said. And it became to the point that they would tell the other nurses that there was a transgender person in my unit, and they would say everyone has to introduce themselves by their birth names. And they would try to trick me into telling them my birth name, how to pronounce it, because, you know, I'm from Pakistan. I have a really long, complicated birth name. It's really hard to pronounce. And they would try to be like, oh, where are you from? How do you pronounce your name? And I was just like, you're just trying to trick me into pronouncing it so that that's the name you'll call me by. As for the other trans guy, they did not call him by his name. He would insist his name was Ryder. I would say my name's Jack, and they would be like, no, it's not. No, I'm not gonna call you that. And at one point, both of us got locked out of our room, and there was a nurse watching over a child across the hall from us, and she watched us try to open the door, and she made a comment to me, and she said, if you were a real man, you would be able to open the door. And that was, it has nothing to do with anything, to be honest, and she was just, you know, being really rude. I don't know if you like require a dick to open a door or something, but a lot of the nurses went out of their way to make it clear that they disapproved. Like, I would be teasing a nurse, and I would be like, oh, you're such a poser, you're wearing Vans. And you'd be like, you're the real poser here, and I'm not gonna say it, but we know why, as in, you are posing as a male when you're not. And the treatment of some other kids was pretty bad. For example, when they told this one nurse that I was transgender, he got really angry at me and my roommate, and he separated us, and he said, the reason you are in this hospital is not because you tried to kill yourself, it is because you're transgender and you need to be fixed. I've endured a lot of treatment like this, and so far that was the worst. I haven't reported all the incidents that happened in the hospital, but I reported the sexual assault last week. And I just would like to tell anyone that if this happened to you or you know of anything similar, if you could please tell me, and if you haven't already, please report it, because reporting it is honestly the first step to stopping all this and making sure that when people are in such a time of need that they need to be entered into a psychiatric hospital, that is not a weight that they have to carry at that point. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back with more videos now.